Last on the end, we have Marianne Agnoli, our marriage and family life coordinator, to talk about some of these issues with marriage and divorce and things of the sort. So, Marianne.
Oh, we both weren't on. There we go. Okay. So actually I've been asked to talk about divorced and then divorced and civilly married individuals, as well as those that are coming from different, that are marrying from a different faith tradition, okay? So I've got two parts, so be kind to me, oh person of many flags, okay? So to start with, divorced and divorced separately, or divorced and then civilly married. That came up a lot in our synod conversations as well. And for both, I would say the first thing that I would probably recommend for all parishes is to educate first yourselves as ministers and as representatives of the parish. And there's so much misinformation about what the church teaches, what the church allows or doesn't allow on this topic. I have lost count from the number of individuals that have told me about a divorced person in their parish who may have gone literally decades without receiving the Eucharist because someone told them at some point in time that if you're divorced, you can't receive, that you're excommunicated, okay? And I hope we all know here that that is not true, okay? Now, if you're divorced and remarried without annulment, that's a different story, okay? So one thing that I would say is a essential thing is to think about ways to get that information out into your communities, whether it's in a bulletin announcement, whether it's a little excerpt somewhere, maybe it's an educational Q&A type of a thing or something. The tribunal, Beth Blau is there, and I don't know, I think Father's already gone, but Beth, raise your hand there. They've been going around the diocese to different deaneries and talking about to those who are seeking an annulment, okay? So there are different ways that we can do this. So however you can do that, one of the things Patrick will be sending you a kind of a myths and facts and myths thing concerning divorce and civil marriage. Okay, the second thing, which I think is even more important, is when you're in your parishes, look around. Notice who isn't participating in the sacraments. And do you know why? A lot of times we'll jump to conclusions to say, well, this person isn't receiving because X, Y, or Z, okay? And if you don't know, or you think you know, but you don't really know, maybe, what have we been saying over and over again? What are we going to do? We're going to engage in some conversation with them and listen to their story. What is actually happening? Okay, and then based on that, answer their questions, guide them if you don't know how to help. Guide them to someone who might, and then continue that accompaniment and follow up. Okay, this isn't rocket science. I've been hearing about 2/3 of everyone that's spoken has said these very same things, and it applies, I think, to most of these welcoming, belonging situations. But let me give you an example of how that was played out. For instance, about maybe 2 months ago, I received an email from a minister I knew in one of the churches. And she said, I just had a conversation with a lady who has been in a ministry in the parish for years, and I noticed that she would never go to communion. And I just assumed that she wasn't Catholic, okay? She goes, but the Spirit kind of tugged at my heart and said, I need to explore this a little bit more. So she went and actually started a conversation with this woman, and she found out that the woman was actually Catholic, that she had been divorced, she was civilly married, but she'd also had an annulment. And in further listening, she discovered that there was something about what she perceived in the annulment process of why her marriage was annulled that she found she was very angry about. Okay, she thought that the annulment was based on something that was not true. Okay, and so this woman, the minister who contacted me, said, would you be willing to talk to her? She goes, I don't really know this. I don't understand annulments. I don't understand what goes into them. Would you be willing to talk to this person? And so we got in contact. She asked the woman if she'd be willing to talk to me too, and we set up a phone conversation. And in the phone conversation, I started out with, what do you think I said? Would you be comfortable sharing your story, right? Tell me what's happened, okay? And so we talked for maybe 45 minutes to an hour, and what I found out was she was angry about some stuff, and legitimately so based on the information that she had or that she thought she had, so that misinformation, okay? So you can see how by the time we finished talking, we were able to, she had kind of gone, oh, well, this makes all the difference in the world. Okay, and they are on their path to her and her husband talking to their pastor about getting married in the church. Okay, just an illustration how that might work. Okay, I already got the yellow, so I better get, because I'm not even to the ecumenical yet. Okay, so how can our diocese help you in this area? One, we're going to send out that clarifying myths about divorce and annulments. Second, as far as the divorce folks go, we've got information on how, really easy to use divorce support group kind of groups, I guess, however you want to say it. We also have Witness to Love civil marriage initiatives that you can work on if you really want to focus on those that are divorced and remarried in your parishes and really want to reach out to them. Tribunal does those presentations. You can also think about liturgy and prayer resources, just even including divorced and their families in your prayers of the faithful. Something as simple as that, perhaps, okay? All right, now real quick, ecumenical and interfaith, because there already was a question about that. I'm going to define the two terms. First, we use mixed marriage, we use a bunch of different things, but probably the two most accurate would be ecumenical, which would mean a Catholic marrying another baptized Christian, okay, that's not Catholic. And then interfaith is a Catholic marrying a non-baptized non-Christian, okay, if that makes sense. And what's interesting, factually, within our diocese, within the last even decade or two, about a third to half of all the marriages that take place fall into this category, okay? So if you think about it, that's a pretty significant part of our population. So how can we be more welcoming? I loved Tasha's example about how, you're putting those folks together, and that's, I think it's those kind of instances. We starting with marriage prep, even, having the accurate information first of all on what is necessary, what do you need to even get married if you're coming from different faith traditions. A tribunal, again, can help you with that. One of the suggestions is using the sponsor couple ministry and pairing those couples with other couples from similar faith tradition backgrounds, okay? In our own diocesan sponsor couple training, we equip our sponsor couples, even if they are both Catholic, to be able to really be sensitive to where another one of the individuals might be as far as their faith, or no faith at all. How do you find a common way of using their similarities and working from there? Okay, parish and school ministries providing additional information, explanations on stuff that we maybe as cradle Catholics might take for granted. Okay, but even our cradle Catholics might learn a little bit about those things too, explaining, things like what is Advent, what is Lent, what do we do, what do these things mean, and being intentional about what kind of ministries you offer, what kind of programs. Things like the Alpha Marriage course, for instance, is geared, it's a Christian course, and Christians will feel very comfortable, Catholics will feel very comfortable in it, but if you're from a different faith tradition or you also would not feel put upon. So being intentional of finding some of those kind of resources. Nourish is another one for caregivers. They have different programming for just specifically Catholic or more overall Christian. Okay. And again, Tasha's example was great. However, you can help these people feel as though they belong and have a place. Okay. And then again, I would say also personally inviting. Okay. inviting them to be part of your, maybe they're not going to be teaching your sacraments classes, right? But they certainly can be part of your welcoming committees or different areas of expertise that they might have to be offered. So how can our diocese help you in this? Again, there'll be a little article called Ecumenical Interfaith Marriages that I've provided that gives a lot of really good information. We can also give you a lot of other program recommendations and resources. I can help in assisting you in recruiting couples from different ecumenical and faith traditions as far as your sponsor couples and parishes. So, and Tribunal is always there to help assist on the more technical areas. Thank you. Sorry I went a little over, but I had two things to talk about.